from the first graduating class, along with Justin and a few of others, and we've got to watch this program build, and I've got to say this is the best turnout I think I've ever seen for graduating class so far, so give yourself a round of applause for that. I stressed a little bit when I was putting this together, because what do you say to a bunch of people who really don't know what they've just got themselves into? I'd like to echo the words of Mr. Bage and also Dr. Lent when we say, and also Chris Hebright, this is where you start. There's a wise Buddhist proverb that says, when the students are ready, the teacher appears. And right now, this is kind of the school of hard knocks. This is what you get. We're going to put you out on the road. We're going to put you with sick people. We're going to put you with people who require your constant attention. We're going to put you with good people. We're going to put you with bad people. And you're going to have to make sense of it all. That's the job that we give you. And in return, you might make enough to make a living. Might. I'd like to congratulate the class of 2010, and we told you it would be hard. When we looked out over this audience, a year and a half ago, even before A&P, we told you that it would be hard. We told you that relationships would be strained. We told you not to be a snowflake. I don't remember that one. We told you that it was going to bend every single thing that you knew about what was acceptable and what was not acceptable. But in the end, if you made it through to the other side, you'd be a better person for it. Or, you'd be a paramedic. For those of you who have already passed, we congratulate you. We're wonderful that you passed. And for those of you who either haven't tested or haven't got through it yet, you will. You've received the best education that you can possibly receive. We're 100%. This program turns out paramedics, and that's what you came to be. But what I'd like to talk to you tonight about the difference between a paramedic and a great paramedic. You've seen bad ones. Raise your hand if you've seen a bad medic. Someone who just doesn't care. Oh, come on. Raise your hand if you've heard about a bad medic. Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk about great paramedics, because I know that all of you will become that. A great paramedic will never fall into complacency believing that they know enough. The day that you decide that you have learned enough is the day that you're done. Pack it up, ask, do you want fries with that? Because you're better suited for that. A great paramedic will never look down on one patient any differently from any other. Regardless of race, creed, sexual orientation, place in town, how many times you picked them up, we all have that patient that we've picked up 100,000 times. One day it's the real deal, you just never know. So a great paramedic will treat them all like a member of their family. And I find myself asking that question every time I get a patient in the back of the truck and I think I'm done, or I think, it's only 2 or 3 minutes to the hospital. Have I done enough? And the easiest way for me to ask myself or to answer myself, have I done enough, is I look down and I see one of my kids. And if this was my child, have I done enough? A great paramedic will continue to learn from everyone he or she meets, regardless of their level of training. Remember how mad you got when someone called you just a basic? Raise your hand if you've ever heard that. You're just a basic. Well, let me tell you what, more often than not, and Mr. Bage over here will agree with me too, it's the basic who pulls the medic's butt out of the fire later. Because we get so wrapped up in, boy, I give this drug. I wonder what this does. Can you push morphine, then Narcan, then morphine, then Narcan, and see how many rounds you can get? It's the basic going, hey dummy, lift his head up so you can breathe. And you got the tube in your hand and you're ready to go to town, and it's the basic that tells you, let's just reposition him. So learn from everybody you can. A great paramedic will know their limitations and know when to ask for help. And that's what we're all here for. April and I were talking earlier about the brotherhood. And we're not as steeped in tradition as the fire department, but that's where this all starts. That's where you've brought your families. That's why you've all came here. This starts tradition. This builds tradition. We are a brotherhood and sisterhood. If you need help, you call us and we'll help you. A great paramedic knows it's okay to laugh with a patient. Some of your best medicine is humor. Some of you in here are real good out of it. Some of you suck. Okay? It's going to take a little work. But remember that humor is the highest form of brain function. If your patient can laugh, you know automatically what have you answered. Paramedics, what have we answered? If the patient can laugh at a joke. Awake, alert, appropriate. Because people that are confused, they can't laugh, they don't know. But a great paramedic also knows when it's okay to cry. Sometimes it is. When I first started with fire and EMS service many years ago, the guy who come back to the station covered in the most blood doing this was the hero. And everybody else was a wimp. We've turned that around. Now we're more conscious about what we get on us, and we're also more conscious about taking care of ourselves. A great paramedic will strive to teach others everything they know. We only grow as a profession when we share our experience and lessons. I've had to tailor a lot of what I say today just because you've brought family with you. If not, I would give you the real scoop, and we'll give it to you later, but that's the reason we erase the walls, too. We don't want to get sued. So I thought about words of wisdom. What can I impart upon these paramedics that has not already been imparted? And what could I tell these new paramedics that would help them get along their way? And how could I be witty? And how could I be funny? And how could I make sure I make a lasting impression? And I came to the conclusion, I can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you things you've probably already heard. But these are things that were told to me when I became a new paramedic. These were the things that were drilled into my head. And these are still the founding principles that I try to practice with. Number one, it's the patient's emergency, not yours. Settle down and do your job. Remember, they called you, you were the professional. You were the person with all the answers. You are the medical professional. If you freak out, they're going to freak out. It's guaranteed. It's absolutely guaranteed. Number two was an old saying that was told to me by a paramedic that worked for us long ago. His name was Leroy Ward. And I'm sure he heard it from someone else. And Leroy, he was the type of guy that everybody knows. Maybe they have an uncle or a grandfather or someone like it. But Leroy, when he talked, you listened. Because number one, we knew Leroy was probably going to die soon. He was old. And number two, Leroy didn't like to repeat himself. And he said, Drew, make sure you remember that God made the paramedic to give him his chance to change his mind. Well, I'm telling you that a great paramedic can accept the fact that God doesn't always change his mind. And that's something you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to deal with the fact that sometimes you've done what you can do, and that's all that you can do. Big one that was on the board, we'll tame it down for our mixed audience, but read your patient, not your equipment. Another big one you've heard a lot. We say it for a reason, because you got the people that run in, this guy's in cardiac arrest, and they're doing chest compressions, and the dude on the stretcher is going, out, stop it, out, stop it, out, stop it. You laugh, but it's happened. I watched it. And I had to tell the young nurse's aide, honey, I think he's going to make it. Great job. Always stop beating on his chest now. Don't let the idiot box rule your life. Don't let the SpO2 meter rule your life. Don't let the cardiac monitor rule your life. Remember, what's Drew's number one saying? If it's not bothering the patient, it's not bothering me. You know, Ryan, as you can tell, he's my partner, right? Because he knows all of these already. So hurry up, I want to leave. And last, but certainly this is the most important one of all. If you can remember nothing else tonight but this one, never, ever, ever stick your finger where you wouldn't stick your face. A great paramedic. Took you a second, didn't it? That's a creeper. A great paramedic will walk a careful line between the needs of the service they work for and the needs of their family. Right now, we'd like you to take some time. Love on your family a bit. And remember that they sacrificed a lot for your education, too. Take some time for yourself, have a few beers, relax by the pool. If you don't have one, you're welcome to come to my house. I have both beer and pool, and I'm willing to share. Look at this as the grand beginning to an adventure. You're starting all over now. Nothing's the same anymore. Since passing my registry, I look at each patient each day as an opportunity to touch a life of someone in some way. Sometimes the impact we make is large and felt like a sledgehammer. If you ever cardio over at a patient, you'll know that one real quick. You'll light them right up. And other times, the impact we make is much smaller, like a slight touch to an elderly person's hand to calm and reassure them. Ask yourself the question, how long has this patient been here without any visitors? That's one I always ask. I'll even ask the nurse's aide, and they'll look at you. If they look at you like you're stupid, you know it's been a long time. So you may be the highlight of this patient's day. They haven't been out of this facility in 6 years. They've had no visitors. The nurses are cranky with them. The aides are cranky with them, not because they want to be, because they fall into that complacency that we talked about, and they have so much things to do. I know, I'm almost done, sweetie. Almost, I swear. But they don't take that time, and that slight touch from you, that gentle touch from you, that how can I help you today, that isn't it beautiful outside, that boy, the roads are icy, that might be the only human interaction that they have. Use that to your advantage, use that to the patient's advantage, and cherish all those moments, because those are what make the paramedic. Whatever the circumstance, make no mistake that every time you put on that uniform and you sling that stethoscope across your neck, you make an impact on someone's life. Make it count. Be a great paramedic. Thanks.